Hello, friends. How are you? We are here tonight and we're going to do the book discussion, um, Renunciation. This is a beautiful story between two kindred spirits around 1800s. These beautiful two kindred spirits were incarnated in order to help one another to go through the journey. I'm going to read and we're going to following along together, right? And if you have any question, please give us um, you can send a message to us. Also here I have our phone number. You can also um, text us. You can send us a email. You can go to our website and send us email. It's right here. And please share with us what you think about this book. Express your thoughts, and you can also come along and share and discussion this book with me. I appreciate it very much if I have a friend to share this beautiful, beautiful story. Okay? You can find this book and pretty much in all spiritist center, SGNY, in Manhattan, Enlightenment, in Manhattan, the Spiritists Federation in our websites, and also the United States Spiritist Council Federation, so USSI. So you can also find there as well. Okay. So you can leave any message, okay? I'll be very happy to share my thoughts in regard to your question. If anything that I do not know what it is at this moment, I certainly will study it, okay? And will give the answer later. So this book, it's a very beautiful book, and it's very well written. It's sometimes hard for me to summarize with my own words because I don't have enough vocabulary to express the thoughts of this beautiful, beautiful literature between Francisco Cândido Xavier and o nosso querido Francisco Xavier and the Spirit Emmanuel. Okay, so we're going to start to a prayer. Dear God and good spirits, Master Jesus, and our dearest Prince Beaufort, thank you so much for the opportunity of bringing all of us here tonight. Help us to understand the teachings of love from this beautiful, beautiful story. We all know that life can be very tough sometimes, can be challenging sometimes. And many times when we undergo different different challenges, expiations, and trials, we may feel that there is no one to give a help hand to us. The enlightened spirits share this beautiful literacy through the psychographic by the hands our beloved Francisco Cândido Xavier. Through the example of these spirits who have been here before us, we may learning little bit about our lives, knowing that all the challenges, all the obstacles that we may go through, do not matter how long they stay, these challenges stay within us, it shall pass. It will passes. We need to be tolerant, patience, and understanding. Without sacrifices, there will not be redemption. If we want to evolve, if you want to purify our spirit, it's necessary, unmeasurable effort from our part, knowing that God it's is always within us. Our Master Jesus as well, staying by our side at all the time. The problem is we don't see it. We don't feel because we are so much immersed in the physical realm. Thank you so much, God, for tonight and always, knowing that better days will come. And so be it. My dearest friend, let's remember is now we who are the character in this chapter. Magdalena, Antero, um, Dolores, João of God, and the little Alcione. Alcione is just 4 years old. So let's start to this part. So both are in maybe would be in the living room, someplace in this beautiful house in Spain. So they are talking. Antero is sharing his thoughts to his cousin Magdalena. Let hearing their conversation. I am offering you my strong arms in the struggle of life. Will you be we will be happy. Believe me, I hope to consolidate it, my fortune soon. My current business promises fabulous profits. Will you building a home filled with happiness? The past afflictions we have been through Don't matter. I understand how the winds of adversity have shattered your useful dreams. But don't think you are the only one who suffered. I have been silently following your steps since the early dawn of your youth. And when that intruder, Davenport, turned up, only I know of the hatred that poisoned my soul. By now, the road to our happiness is free and clear. So Magdalena is listening to Antero, and she answered, your confession taught me, but this situation is impossible, since true love transcends all the world's contingencies. My choice was and is still my only one, and it is irreversible. The young man showed his opposition in a spontaneous gesture and insisted. But don't you see yourself liberated from the widowhood? Widowhood? Wouldn't it be foolish to devote the rest of your life to mourning and memories of death? For me, she replied, revealing her deep serenity. Widowhood means inconsolable grief and not the heart's availability. So she said, widowhood for me is grief, but not have the heart available for other relationship. So she wants to say to her cousin that she not available to remarriage again. The young Spaniard bit his lips and exclaimed in disappointment. I find it almost incredible that you would make such an absurd sacrifice for a man who left on a risk venture when your honeymoon was barely ended. He was attacking her, right? He felt rejected because she stands her ground. I'm not available for other relationship. So he didn't like to hear that. She responded, Cyril did it because the circumstances compelled him to. I don't believe that. Nevertheless, you cannot deny the enormous differences between the benefits of the Versailles court and the Sunburn. Well, if that's the case, if that is the case, Antero angrily tried to explain. You cannot compare French wages with love and devotion, she had responded. You cannot compare money with love and devotion. But you forgetting that Cyril had loving parents and younger siblings who needed his help. It would have been wrong to take him away from his dear mother, who comforted him in her arms long before my love for him. She's remembering terror. He is giving back the support to his family, to the ones who had helped him to be who he is, who contributed to his life before me. So she talking about that Cyril is giving back to his parents the gratitude that he received in being raised so well. How beautiful is this woman? Isn't she so sweet? It would have been wrong to take him away from his dear mother, who comforted him in her arms long before my love for him. In fact, he did everything he could to enable me to go with him to America. You know that my mother illness is what kept me in Paris, to my great regrets. But Cyril, Cyril, never blamed me for that. On the other hand, I couldn't blame him for his generous impulse to help his family. So what she's saying is, the choice to be in Paris was mine. I decided, that was Madalena said to him. I decided to be in Paris because my mother was sick and it was my duty to protect her. That's how she felt. So she said to him, therefore, it's natural that Cyril decided to help his family because they need him. How wonderful is this lady? Magdalena is absolutely a wonderful lady. Realize that the weapons, weapons of his resentment were useless. Antero tried different tacts and methods with a certain trepidation. Nevertheless, I think you should be more compliant and reasonable. I just can't compromise what I feel to be my sacred duties, she says. You should cling to a sick memory, he said. You are young and I can make you happy. I have worked all my whole life to achieve the ideal of our union. I dream of a happy future with a home filled with laughter. So, what are he talking about? Marriage, right? Marriage and children. And she's so smart. She's very smart. She said, look what she said. Of course, you shouldn't give up in your hope for a happy future, but we have to reformulate the goal of your aspirations. My periods of merit, it's over. Yours has not yet begun. Spain is full of eligible young women, and it would be hard to find a devoted partner worthy of your destiny. The fact, the fact is, we could never unite it in the bonds of marriage. But I shall be grateful, sister, for as long as I have the breath of life left in me. As long I live, I will honor you with my love for you as a cousin. I know how much you have sacrificed for me, and I kiss your hand for that. But since I have no other way to show you my sincere gratitude, I'll be happy to be able to give my motherly affection to your wives and little children. Someday, God will help you and give you a young woman rich in sentiments, one who is worthy of your heart. How sincere and how loving is Magdalena? Because at the time, was the time when um, 1800 where wealthy names, those those things were very relevant in society. So she wanted to say, I hope you can find someone that is very, very wonderful. And this person does not need to be rich like you are. This person can be someone who dedicates her life to you, because that is the reason we united with our partners, in order for us to go on together, to help one another. In other words, she says, when it is a union between two people who are in love, it should not be based in money, but the love of the heart. That's what she's telling him. He's telling him, no, I'm not available. But he insisted. He's a very insistent man. He drew closer to her and persisted ardently. You have given me your reasons. You have defended the Irish intruder and have urged me to look elsewhere for martyrial bliss. But I won't give up. Let me get closer to your heart, to, to reawaken your life. We are young. The future is calling us. Did she like that? I don't think so. She didn't like that. Who likes to be pressured like that? No one likes, right? And also, she didn't love him as a woman. She loves him as a sister, like a sister. But in response, the poor girl only drew back, said, that is not going to happen. So at this point, she was upset. You can see by her language, by her answer. This is not going to happen. In other words, forget about it. It will not to happen. You have defended their rich intruder and have urged me to look elsewhere. That's not going to happen. She was firm and direct, objective. And I hope you can restrain yourself within the proper limits. My husband's memories may not have dissuaded you, but don't forget that my mother's specter stands between us. My mother's spirit stands between us. The reminder of Donna Margarita's memories had an extraordinary effect. Antero paled and stepped back, as if he were obeying orders from an invisible plane. Don Ignacio's daughter serenely took advantage of the situation and continued. I agree that our ancestor had a lot of flaws, but I have never heard of a Villamil who at any time ever abused a widowed island system. So she said, our family, our ancestors have many faults, but never pushed themselves to a widow, into the widow. So hearing her harsh rebuke, the young man turned red and went back to his room, but not before saying, you change your mind sooner or later. From the night on, he spoke of his unwholesome purpose, and although he was waiting for an opportunity for surrender, dictated by the stream of life as miserable as it was desolated. He acted complete indifference to the situation. And he truthful did not giving up on her. And he insisted, he thinks that his money will uh, will he thought that his money could buy the love, Magdalena's love. And Magdalena, very faithful to her memories and to her husband, the one that she thought that was dead, because him, Antero, and Susanna had created a, a plot for them. They had lied, said that Cyril received a letter said Magdalena was dead, remember? And Magdalena received information that Cyril was dead. So both of them did not know that they were alive because Susanna and Antero created this big lie, huge lie, to separate these two truthful lovers, husband and wife. There went by, Magdalena Villamil was struggling hierarchically. The poor quality of the Casale La Verre land demanded much sacrifice to be tended, but even so, her regular plantings had become extremely helpful financially. Dolores came back from the vegetable market every morning with a little money, but it was enough for their provisions. So remember that Antero bought a castle in Spain so they could be together. But that was the desire of Madalena. That was the desire of Antero. For Madalena herself, she could easily live in a simple place. But Antero didn't think that so. So he wanted to convey her that he could afford to marry him and give to her a luxury life. Therefore, he bought a castle in La Vieja, via La Viage, land demanded. It's in Spanish. So the lady of the house attributed everything to God and gave thanks. Life went on. She considered her cousin prolonged absences a respite and a relief. Ever since that unforgettable night, he seems to regard her with underlying anger. He was mad, was upset that she did not retribute the love to him. Whenever he came back, it made her heart jump. Oh my God, can you imagine you being around someone that insists to have a relationship with you and you do not desire it? So we can imagine how she felt, right? So, besides, she preferred to raise her daughter modestly. That meager farmstead would be her first school. Later on, she would ask the Carmelite nuns to be responsible for her intellectual education. But as a mother, she was determined to do everything possible to get Alcyone used to working hard. That's what a good parents do. A good parents teach your children to work hard. since they are little. As they have uh, age appropriated, the parents can start with small chores around the house. The child can do the bed in the morning, right? Then they can pick the clothing for going to school next day, night before, and have a discipline to brush the teeth, to take a shower, all those kinds of uh, obligation, duties. The mothers, the father must, the parents must help the children to acquire, to achieve responsibilities. Responsibilities. When you're teaching your children as a young age to do and to help around the house, they grow up to be responsible. That's make a lot of easy for the parents. A lot of easy. When the child works since they are little in small things, they learn how hard life can be. As the days were passing by, when rumors began to spread about Antero's situations in Madrid, it was said that the Isaac were being handed over to the Holy Office for abducting free children in the American and African colonies. And that, along with the ISIS, their partner would answer for the nefarious, nef- nefarious activity. In his periodic visits, Madalena brought up this rumor, but Antero denied. He laughed. Oh no, this is not true. There are people who are envy on me, are people who are not happy because I'm so successful. He tried to persuade Magdalena otherwise. He said that is nonsense. She, as a good woman, trusted him above all, you know. So he is her cousin. He's the one who has been helping the family for a long, long, long time. Months flew by and the rumors increased. So it was hard for Magdalena to deny it. Magdalena was concerned. One day she went to find out what João of God knew true about the situation. She was to ask João of God what his thoughts about it. Let's hear what João of God start to say. Amen. Began Dolores Sutter in confidential tone. Remember, Dolores is one of Magdalena's servants, and Magdalena and her has a great friendship. They are more friends. They act more like sister. They actually as a servants and the boss. The Istagerbas are powerful lords. They do not tolerate anyone competing with them in the slave trades. In Segovia, not long ago, not long ago, two brave sailors were murdered at their orders. In Valladolid, there was a group of industrious men involved in the business. One day, the Holy Office confiscated their property without justification and incarcerated them for life. Don Diego and Don Alfonso have the back of the clergy. It is said that they give part of their assets to the inquisitors to keep them on their side. Bishop Leonis Molina is a member of the family, and it's not easy to escape his persecutions. The missionaries ever helped him. So you gotta remember, at the time of the Inquisition, right? The Inquisitors, they had the whole power, the whole power. Therefore, if I share my assets with them, right, what happened? I was protected by them. So that was the case of the lords. Enstenberg, what's the name exactly? Uh, Istigurabas. So the they had the support of the accusators. So that's why they were so um, comfortable to go there and kill, do whatever they want to do with whoever come across their lives or the business per se. But if they have made any accusations against Santero? Magdalena asked, very worried. She asked, naturally concerned. Joan glanced beyond the door to make sure they were really alone and murmured. Gotta remember, Antero also had a lot of power. And he was scared. He was scared. I have heard something to that effect. One night, Don Afonso told his father that all the arrangements were in place in Madrid, that the holy priests on missions in remote jungles had asked the church authorities to punish the ISIS and their collaborator without mercy for stealing helpless children in the village, coastal village and that coastal village, and that Don Tero's credits were all going to demand payment of his debts at the same time. So the press was going to, quote unquote, defend the children. But young Madalena was shocked and asked, it is possible that there are people capable of abducting innocent children? In the colonies, the servant explained, there are certainly men who are that cruel, but in this case, it is possible that the accusation came from right here, from the Istigarabas themselves. I ever heard that when Don Diego was younger, he had his own father imprisoned. So she said, they're so bad that they are capable to imprison their own parents. Magdalena Villamil took mental note of this sad news and changed the subject. Over the next few days, she wanted very much to communicate with her cousin and try to save his reputation as a worthy man. But since she realized this was impossible, she contented herself by praying fervently and commending him to God. You know, let her be him in God's hands. On her own, she said, become accustomed bit by bit to the harsh regime of a direct contact with nature. Her face, however, showed a great prostration. She divided her time between domestic work and meditation. She always remembered that her first plane to return to Spain had been to go to America eventually to get accurate news about her husband's death. That is a good thing, right? Because now, Antero out of the way, she actually can make a plan to come to America and check if really her husband killed while he was traveled to America. She always remembered that the first plan to return to Spain. So then her cousin motives had postponed the realization of her plan, but they had not extinguished it. It was true that her three were still alive and that she was still unable to act as she needed, but she hoped in the Almir to restore her health so that she and Alcyone could make the voyage as soon as Dolores' wedding was over. Never again could she feel joy as in the days of her far off happy youth, but her little daughter was now her divine consolation. Thank you, God, right? Alcyone was already an adorable little 4 years old. She would sit with her face resting in her hands like a big people for many hours at her mother's side, listening to short, instructive stories. Magdalena enthusiastically retold the legend she had kept from her own childhood. The little girl loved to hear about enchanted princes and genies hid in the woods. But when she listened to her mother's words about Jesus, her eyes grew brighter. And she asked why people had made the cross for the Savior that God had sent to the earth. How that possible? At 4 years old, able to comprehend how, as adults, because we are all imperfect, how we were capable to put Jesus Christ on a cross. Because we're still doing it by our behavior, the way we act, we still deny the teachings of love that Jesus Christ exemplified to all of us. And we do not act according to the teachings of Jesus. We certainly collaborated for his cross. Different cross, though, but still do. As an only child with no other children for company, at times she would suddenly drop her playthings and ask her mother what Jesus was doing. That is a good thing. We should do that too. What Jesus doing now? If we would think more about Jesus, we would be more happier, despite the struggling that we may encounter in our life or the struggles. And before her mother recitation, she herself would speak of 1,000 things with her ingenuous pure thought. If it was cold, she said that Christ was helping homeless pilgrims. An excessively hot day, she imagined that his divine hands were caressing afflicted birds. Right, Carrie? For the tiny little birds in the tree. Mhm. Hello. Hi, love. Ah. All right. Thank you, my love. Of course, sweetheart. Magdalene was surprised by this. Such loved ideas or always come spontaneously from the sensitive little mouth. Her mother thought had to be grateful to everyone, to respect the garden plants, and to be kind to the trees in the yard. She would send her off to help Dolores whenever there was large amount of fruits and vegetables for the outdoor markets in their neighboring town. Alcyone was friends with the servant and carried a tiny basket. Can you imagine a tiny little 4 years old carrying a little basket to the town with little fruits in and vegetable? It would be so great, so gracefully to see it. Very confident that she was contributing effectively to solving their domestic problems. And at the times when Dolores felt tired because of the burning sun, she believed she could soothe her fatigue by kissing her, because her mother always said that love was the only remedy that could ease suffering hearts. The maid was very sensitive to such a display of affection, and sometimes, after finishing the most toilsome part of the task next to the gate of Saint Vincent, she would say she was exhausted just to receive attention from the adorable little girl. And that was when Alcyone would cover her hands in loving kisses. I like, "Mm, mm, 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 mm." So cute, right? She'll take the servant hands. Imagine a 4 years old take the servant mm, or mommy's hand and kiss. Is that so sweet, isn't it? So that's what she did for Magdalene and the only two friends she had in the intimacy of her home. The little one had become a source of ineffable happiness. So you can imagine it, right? So you can understand. So this beautiful little girl, she was the twilight in home. She was everything that her mom wishes. She was the happiness in the house. God, not to forget the willow plants. Twilight come landing with heavy clouds, and the child opened the door every minute to look at the sky. So what happened is at the time was so hot, so hot, so hot. And of course, when it's too hot, we possibly can lose our plantation because it's die for not having water. So what the little adorable 4 year old did? She prayed to God. She prayed to God to send rain so the garden would be preserved. The plants will not die. For her, I think, happiness, God answers the little one prayer. You know what happened? Rained there. And she became